An interview with Queen Noor of Jordan. For many, Queen Noor represents one of the most cosmopolitan inhabitants of the modern world. She is the last wife and widow of King Hussein of Jordan, who died in 1999. Since her husband's death, Queen Noor has been the Queen Dowager of Jordan and divides her time between her homes in Jordan, London, and Washington, D.C. She was born Lisa Halaby, American by birth, but of Syrian, English, and Swedish descent. She was the daughter of Nahib Halaby, an aviator, airline executive, and former head of the FAA under President John F. Kennedy. She was educated in the United States, having graduated from Princeton University with a BA in Architecture and Urban Planning in 1973. After a short period of living in Australia, she accepted a job as Director of Arab Air Services, which was created by her father. Later, while working for the Royal Jordanian Airlines, she met King Hussein. While also working on the Queen Aliyah International Airport, named after King Hussein's late third wife, she became a friend of the king, who was still mourning the death of his wife. Their friendship evolved into a romance that resulted in their marriage in June of 1978. Upon her marriage, she renounced her U.S. citizenship and accepted Islam, as it was her husband's religion. The Constitution of Jordan did not require her to accept Islam, but if she had not done so, her descendants would not have had succession rights to the throne. The wedding was a traditional Muslim ceremony. She and King Hussein had 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys. The oldest child was 31 this year. The youngest is 25. Throughout their 21-year marriage, Queen Noor was involved in politics for which she often received criticism. For example, in 1984, she supported her husband when he criticized the Americans for being one-sided in their commitment to Israel, while Americans criticized her for siding with the Jordanians. Her husband's death in 1999 resulted in a rather nasty struggle for the throne of Jordan. She had wanted their older son to be named the heir, but her husband chose his firstborn son from an earlier marriage as the heir, with the understanding that the firstborn son of Queen Noor and Hussein, Hamza, would be the crown prince. However, that plan also was thwarted when in 2009 King Abdullah named his eldest son the successor. Today, the Queen is active in promoting international understanding of Arab and Muslim culture and politics and Arab-Western relations. More importantly, she's heavily involved in issues such as refugees, missing persons, poverty, and disarmament. She is active in the Middle East, the Balkans, Central and Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Africa in solving conflicts and building peace. She has strong ties to the United Nations. Her most demanding role is her work as the chair of the King Hussein Foundation, which was established upon his death to build on his humanitarian vision and legacy in Jordan and abroad through national, regional, and international programs that promote education and leadership, economic empowerment, tolerance, and cross-cultural dialogue that enhances mutual understanding and respect among different cultures and across conflict lines. Her latest book is entitled Leap of Faith, Memoirs of an Unexpected Life, published in 2003. She usually makes between 70 and 100 speaking appearances annually. As I reviewed the text of several of her speeches, I discovered a voice that reflects the cosmopolitan view of life. Please join me now as I interview the Queen to discover some of her key perspectives. In 1999, Queen Noor, you spoke at the UN conference in which you expressed your views on non-governmental agencies, or NGOs as they are called. What do you believe is the role of the private sector and private sector organizations in the current world of globalization? Her response: while globalization has raised the fortunes of many, it's also left others behind. It's time to place the human face at the center of the globalization debate and frame comprehensive approaches to the threats to human security posed by marginalization, poverty, and human rights abuses. Globalization holds the potential for unprecedented benefits, but these benefits, to be fully realized, have to be shared equitably. To do that will require a new partnership between business, governments, and NGOs. An alliance between governments and NGOs, and local firms and multinational corporations can foster cooperation in the developmental process and promote human welfare everywhere. In one of your more notable speeches, Queen Noor, given in 2000 at a symposium in Aspen, Colorado, you continue to speak of the role of the individuals in the ever-growing face of a homogenized world. Her response: what separates the current phase from the previous waves of international interaction that have washed across the map over the past several millennia is the increased role that individuals and local businesses, organizations, and communities have to play in the process. The innovation of the new technology is its lightning speed and its limitless interactivity. The routes of communication are no longer top-down, but a multi-directional and multi-banded web. But somehow, in the face of all these homogenizing forces, individual cultures survive. Up against the strength of traditions and habits and religion, predictions of the death of difference and the end of history always turn out to be premature. The very technologies that many fear could dilute cultures may promote the opposite. She continued, the current wave of globalization seems to be set by paradoxes. Our world grows more fragmented even while it becomes more interconnected. People whose only remaining possession is their culture are relying on ethnic and religious divisions to reinforce their sense of identity in an increasingly impersonal, homogenized world, a world growing more polarized and unstable due to the widening gulf between the haves and the have-nots and the know-nots. The current international system is not an idea to be accepted or rejected, but a fact, a force to be managed with pragmatism and vision. Time and energy can best be used determining how to harness it, rather than debating its advantages or shortcomings. Whether our shared destiny is detrimental or beneficial to the world majority depends on how we approach it, with self-interest disguised as progress and the triumph of the market, or with cultural sensitivity, caution, and a true sense of patriotism. I then asked her, I understand you have strong perspectives on the role of technology in a global society, which you've already hinted at. What are your further views on this subject? The one-size-fits-all political, social, economic model doesn't fit everyone. Some societies on the fringes are not even yet modern countries, and nevertheless are being asked to move instantaneously from tribal structures to global states. Especially with economic aid levels at an all-time low, it is simplistic, if not downright cruel, to counsel belt tightening where belts have never been loose, or to tell people who have no boots to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, especially from counselors with expensive belts and boots. Globalization, to benefit everyone, must shed the idea that its purpose is to mold weaker countries' cultures in the image of stronger ones. The promise of globalization is a fallacy if it is not shared, but it is important not to let new technology blind us to what people need. Internet access is useless to those who have no telephone or can't read or are expected to feed themselves on less than $1 a day. Unless I be accused of romantic socialist ideas, remember that worldwide stability, equity, health, and prosperity are good, actually essential for global business. Globalization need not mean global homogenization, but provides the opportunity for the entire world to gain from the unique wisdom of all its disparate parts. Ideally, increased ease of communication can promote both harmony of ideas and celebration of diversity. There is a growing consensus on human rights and needs and the importance of democracy and sustainable development resulting from open, interactive global dialogue, which has been enriched by a diversity of cultural perspectives. This is what makes the current phase of globalization unique. The Internet has allowed its civil society networks to develop between, within, and among nations, increasing their power to influence policies and decision makers. More than ever before, minority, even individual opinion plays a major role in forging the larger consensus. Globalization and civilization and their constituent cultures are not irrevocably incompatible. They can be viewed as two sides of the human story, economic and material on the one hand, and social and spiritual on the other, each vitally important. Globalization itself has given rise to new constituent civilizations, where new bonds have been formed across nations, cultures, and continents, increasing the level of interaction among peoples.